Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin with the latest headlines. No end in sight to the Aam Aadmi Party Lieutenant Governor tussle in Delhi. Reports say Centre mulls invoking Article 355 to tell Aam Aadmi Party government on its duty. Centre says it will take into account issue of national security over giving passport to Hurriyat leader Syed Ali Shah Gilani, BJP and PDP on warring sides over the issue. AIADMK Supremo Jayalalitha likely to return as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu on Saturday. Swearing-in ceremony likely at the Madras University. Islamic State militants take near control of historic Syrian city of Palmyra. Government fears ancient ruins could be destroyed. And Ukraine crisis to take center stage as the EU's fourth partnership summit gets underway today. Our top focus on the bulletin this morning. The centre could send out a strong message to the Delhi government or administration. Reports are saying communication under Article 355 of the Constitution is not ruled out. This comes even as the Delhi Chief Minister and the Lieutenant Governor spar over appointment of officers. Here's more.
मैं समझता हूं कि एलजी को चीफ मिनिस्टर को दोनों को आपस में बैठकर इस समस्या का समाधान निकालना चाहिए.
But that seems like a distant possibility considering that the turf war is only getting worse by the day. Despite their separate meetings with the President over the issue of appointment of officers, the two have been attacking each other over power of office. Najib Jung wrote a strongly worded letter to Kejriwal on Wednesday saying he has been vested with the power to transfer officials. But Kejriwal took it a step further by writing a scathing letter to the Prime Minister, accusing the centre of trying to run the Delhi administration through the LG despite a democratically elected government. The BJP has reacted sharply to this.
केजरीवाल साहब तो राष्ट्रपति जी को भी मिलकर के आए हैं और अभी प्रधानमंत्री को खत लिख दिया. मिलना है, खत लिखना है, कन्फ्रंटेशन करना है. शासन कब करेंगे वो? गवर्नेंस कब करेंगे? उनकी प्रायोरिटी क्या है? शासन करना या केवल हंगामा खड़ा करना?
Reports now suggest that the centre could be mulling invoking Article 355 to tell the AAP government of its duty. Under Article 355, the central government may ask any state government to ensure that the governance is carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. However, whether to send the strong communication to the Delhi government or not is still in the consultation stage. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Joining me for a chat this morning to talk about this issue is Parsa Venkateshwar Rao Jr., editorial consultant of the DNA. Good morning, Parsa. Thank you for joining me on the program. You know, the government is mulling several options. One of them is, of course, Article 355 of the Constitution, where the government tells the state government how it should be running the government really in the state. Do you see this happening?
The central government might want to do it if it comes to a breakdown stage where the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is not willing to step back or back off. But I think we should see this issue in a broader context, in a broader perspective. According to the rules, the Lieutenant Governor has every right to appoint officials.
Yes.
There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt that the central government has to go by the rules and has to cite the rule book with regard to the powers of the state, the Delhi government, which is not yet a state. But the dilemma is this, that here AAP wins an election with an overwhelming majority, and the Chief Minister is not in a position to appoint the officials he wants. I mean, this is a travesty of democracy. So the rules must be suitably amended or changed, or there should be a discussion how to make a Delhi government effective. Because there is no point in an elected Delhi government staying there a prisoner, sort of unable to make any decisions. So what is the governance they can provide if they don't have officials of their choice? Forget about the personality of Arvind Kejriwal, which can be an irritant to many people because of his style of confrontation. But looking at, put any other chief minister in his position, say if it was a BJP style, BJP chief minister or a Congress chief minister, I do not see why a chief minister should give way to a lieutenant governor. A lieutenant, personally, I see these governors and lieutenant governors only have got a symbolic constitutional value. They don't have political power. They are not elected representatives. So it is not the fault of Najib Jung, he is quoting the rule book. It is not the fault of the central government. They say, please follow Article 355. But staring us in the face is a real political dilemma.
It is a political dilemma.
And it has to be resolved, and there is no way of hiding behind rules.
No, the problem really is none of them, neither the Lieutenant Governor nor the Chief Minister is willing to back down. So which way do you see this issue headed? How do you see a solution, or do you see a solution in sight?
I do not see the solution in sight given the personality of Arvind Kejriwal. He is not the kind of person to back off, and I think he is justified in not backing off, because if you have 67 seats out of 70 in the Delhi Assembly, and you say the government cannot, the elected government cannot appoint its officials, cannot choose the officials, I think there is no greater scandal than that. It's a juridical scandal.
Is the government, is the elected government in Delhi being held hostage?
By the rules, and I think there are times when rules are very essential, norms are very essential. I really believe in the constitutional propriety of things, but in this particular case we have to sort of amend the constitutional norms, constitutional provisions, in order to give more leeway to the elected government.
So the stalemate is going to continue for now, at least, is what you're saying?
It is going to continue, and I think the BJP at the center will be tempted to push Kejriwal and AAP to the wall.
Okay, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much, Parsa Venkateshwar, for joining us on the program this morning and putting things into perspective for us. Moving on now, AIADMK Supremo Jayalalitha is likely to return as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu on Saturday. Party spokesperson C.R. Saraswati said that the swearing-in ceremony is expected to be held at Madras University. She is set to address her party MLAs on Friday, which will be her first public appearance since her acquittal in the DA case this month. Here's more.
The stage is set for the Amma's return to power in Tamil Nadu. 2 days before she is to officially address her party bin in Chennai, AIADMK has announced that she is likely to take oath as the Chief Minister again on Saturday. She had to relinquish her post after she was convicted in a disproportionate assets case last year. However, she was acquitted by the Karnataka High Court.
22nd, there will be a MLA's meeting in our head office, and all the letter will be taken by an OPS, and they will go to meet Governor. And I think Mr. OPS will give his resignation letter also to the Governor. It's all formalities. 23rd afternoon, Amma will be taking the charge of CM.
Jayalalitha's comeback rests partly on whether the Karnataka government appeals against her acquittal in the Supreme Court. Prosecution claimed accounting errors in the court order.
I'm getting an investigating agency of Chennai has to cooperate and give all kind of assistance to the special public prosecutor for the purpose of conducting the trial. And our Karnataka government is for the interest of the impartial justice.
தமிழக ஆளுநரிடம் பத்திரிகை செய்தியிலே 22-23 பதிவு செய்ய இருப்பதாக ஒரு தகவல் வந்திருக்கிறது. அந்த தகவலின்படி காலையிலேயே
Jayalalitha was found not guilty of illicitly amassing wealth adding up to nearly 50 crore rupees by the Karnataka High Court. She must win a state assembly seat within 6 months of taking over as the Chief Minister. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's now take a look at all the important events lined up for today in our segment, The Day Ahead. The Central Board of Secondary Education (CBSE) is likely to declare the Class 10 board exam results today. The results will be declared on the board's website. Students will be able to check their results online at www.cbse.nic.in. More than 13 lakh students appeared for the Class 10 CBSE board examinations this year, a 3.37% increase since last year. In a bid to resolve the dispute between Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh over releasing the water from Bansagar Dam, the centre has convened a meeting of the chief ministers of both states today. Union Water Resources Minister Uma Bharti will chair the meet, which aims to settle the water dispute. It comes in the wake of a Uttar Pradesh government communication sent to the chairman of the Central Water Commission requesting that suitable directions may be issued to the MP government to release 2,000 cusecs of water from the Bansagar Dam for 2 months into the Sone River against the due share of Uttar Pradesh. A plea seeking reconduct of the All India pre-medical examination will be taken up in the Supreme Court today. The Apex Court had earlier issued notices to the Centre, CBSE, Medical Council of India and Haryana seeking their replies on the alleged irregularities reported in the examination. The petitioner claims that at least 90 leaked answer keys were transmitted to candidates in consideration of 15 to 20 lakh rupees. TERI Director General R.K. Pachauri's plea seeking permission to enter his office will be taken up in the Delhi court today. Pachauri is facing charges of sexually harassing an employee of the institute and had been barred from entering the TERI premises in February. On Wednesday, the Delhi High Court refused to cancel the anticipatory bail granted to Pachauri by a trial court. Well, it's time for a short break now, but coming up on the other side, the Parliamentary Committee to meet today to discuss the controversial issue of net neutrality. That and much more. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Watch the world come alive in your living room. Defining moments. Momentous events. News Tonight. Your window to the world. Every night at 9 p.m.
A new government in New Delhi. New faces.
People are not investing because they are scared of your tax administration.
New thinking.
The auction process is a fair and good process.
You cannot have a one-size-fits-all reform policy.
For insights and perspective.
Judiciary should be more concerned about corruption within itself. The Modi government slogan of "Achhe din aane wale hain." Soon the people's slogan will be "Hamare purane din lauta do."
The biggest show on economic policy. Watch State of the Economy.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology will discuss the much-debated net neutrality issue on Thursday with senior officials from private telecom players, Airtel, Vodafone and Idea in attendance. Concerns over the matter was raised by MPs across party lines in both the houses during the just concluded Parliament session. Hence, the matter was sent to the Standing Committee. It all started last month when the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI, came in for criticism by floating a consultation paper suggesting that net neutrality could soon be ended. A vigorous online campaign was launched by SaveTheInternet.in across India, raising serious concerns with respect to threats to the free and open character of the web. However, Telecom Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has ensured that the government will not compromise on net neutrality. Moving on now, the tussle between coalition partners, the BJP and the PDP over issuing a passport to hardline Hurriyat leader Syed Ali Shah Gilani continues. The PDP says that Gilani must be granted a passport on humanitarian grounds since he wants to visit his ailing daughter in Saudi Arabia. But the BJP has said that he should first apologize for his anti-national remarks. The central government has, however, said that they are yet to receive any application for his passport since he falls into the category of people who need prior approval. The centre also clarified that a decision to grant him the document will be taken after considering aspects like national security. Meanwhile, Pakistan waded into the controversy, saying that it stands by Gilani on the matter and that it is unfortunate that he is being denied permission to travel.
I don't want to get into what PDP is saying, but let the Home Minister take a view on that. There is, a case which needs, application of mine. It's a matter of national importance. So I would not like to comment on something which has not come to the ministry as a matter of, decision taking. So let's wait for some time.
दुनिया में किसी भी मुल्क में ऐसी कोई सरकार नहीं होगी जो इंसानियत के नाते एक बेटी को अपने बाप का से मिलने का जो है मौका फराहम करने में कोई रुकावट बन सकती है। तो मेरा ये मानना है कि जितने भी बाकी सेपरेटिस्ट लीडर हैं, चाहे यासीन मलिक साहब हैं, चाहे उमर फारूक साहब हैं, शबीर शाह, जितने भी हैं, सबके पास पासपोर्ट है।
Gilani Saab is keen to take an Indian passport to travel. I don't see how anybody should have a problem with that. We also find it a little amusing that there is this kind of animated theatrical tiff between the alliance partners PDP and BJP. Because if Gilani Saab was given a passport in 2011, what is different now?
Well, let's now take a look at the other national news and updates in our segment Nationwide. The Election Commission will use the Voter Verified Paper Audit Trail or VVPAT for the first time in the upcoming Bihar elections, as announced by the Chief Election Commissioner Naseem Zaidi. It will be put into use in the 36 assembly constituencies out of 243. VVPAT will avoid any conflict possibly arising over the use of electronic voting machines. Top leaders of Punjab Congress met President Pranab Mukherjee demanding central rule in the state over allegedly deteriorating law and order and a CBI probe against the current state government. Punjab Congress leaders raised alarm after a young girl was molested and thrown off a moving bus. A compensation of 5 lakh rupees was announced by the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav for the victims' family of the 1987 Hashimpura massacre. The compensation was announced shortly after a delegation comprising the family members of the Hashimpura and Maliana victims met Samajwadi Party President Mulayam Singh. The ruling Trinamool Congress's latest bid to regain some of the lost ground in Birbhum district in West Bengal led to clashes with the BJP workers, leaving many injured. Both BJP and TMC supporters hurled crude bombs and fired bullets at each other. Similar incidents of clashes between the two parties have been reported in the past as well. Well, time for another short break right now, but coming up after that, the ancient city of Palmyra falls to the Islamic State in Syria. We'll tell you all about it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hottest topics.
If you can facilitate the opening up and the expansion of the international border trade, you can add to the economy.
370 धारा जो है वो जम्मू कश्मीर को मुल्क के साथ जोड़े रखती है।
Candid confessions.
The Congress has not been able to communicate.
We have to revive our links with the masses.
World-class healthcare is available to only a handful of people in this country.
Causing controversies.
A lot of leaders today think that they rule by divine right.
Now, media has become manageable.
Watch RSTV engaged personalities to the point. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m., Thursday, 1:30 and 5:30 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, the Islamic State has gained control over the ancient city of Palmyra in Syria on Wednesday. The government now fears that the world-famous ruins of the ancient city that is also a UNESCO heritage site could be destroyed. Here's more.
After heavy clashes with the military, the Islamic State militants seized the desert city of Palmyra in central Syria on Wednesday. By evening, the militant outfit was in control of the ancient city. The victory now gives the Islamic State another strategically important prize 5 days after the fall of the Iraqi city of Ramadi. The militants had advanced towards the city over the weekend but were repelled by the army and the allied forces.
لانه اي ضرب ثقيل ان كان من طيران كان مدفعي ممكن يضرب ارواح مدنيه وهذا الشيء نحن عندنا تعليمات من قيادتنا انه نكون حريصين على النقطه هذه وما نؤدي لخسائر بالارواح.
Palmyra has been a major target for Islamic State militants due to its historic relics and proximity to oil fields. Located about 215 kilometers from the capital Damascus, Palmyra has vast unexcavated antiquities buried underground which cannot be moved. Local Sunni residents have turned their allegiance towards the Islamic State when the battles between the IS fighters and the government forces began.
اللي راح معاهم على مدينة الرقة دخل الآن معاهم بندل المنطقة. بساعدهم نعم. لو ما في مساعدة هذا جاي من برا كيف بده يعرف يفوت لهون لأي شارع لأي بيت ما بيعرف.
Fearing that the militants would destroy one of the important cultural centers of the ancient world, the government announced on Wednesday that hundreds of statues have been moved from Palmyra to safer locations.
القوات المسلحة نبذل كل جهد لحمايتها في موقعها كما نقوم بالتعاون مع وزارة الثقافة أيضا لتأمين حماية.
Battles between Islamic State and the government forces are still ongoing. If the city is destroyed by the Islamic State, a major chapter in Middle Eastern history and culture will be yet another casualty of this conflict. Palmyra dates back to the 1st century BC. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The European Union's 4th Eastern Partnership Summit gets underway in Riga today. The Ukrainian crisis is likely to take center stage at the summit. A decision on how the bloc can forge closer ties or not with its eastern neighbors is also expected. However, expectations from the summit are very low as experts say that the EU is unlikely to roll out the welcome mat for the non-member ex-Soviet republics to its east. Here's more.
Amid fears that tensions could escalate with Russia, European Union leaders begin a 10th summit in the Latvian capital Riga today with 6 ex-Soviet neighbors. These include Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, Armenia, Belarus and Azerbaijan, all awaiting to be admitted into the Union. No doubt the crisis in Ukraine will be the theme that dominates the summit. However, the prospect of a European future that Ukraine has been hoping for is unlikely to happen. Experts say the conflict with Russia after a similar conflict last year has forced EU leaders to exercise caution this time around. Many governments fear doing anything to poke Russia into undermining the fragile ceasefire in eastern Ukraine and are increasingly skeptical that they can drive democratic change among their eastern neighbors. On the visa front too, EU officials say Ukraine and Georgia would not win the visa-free access Moldovans were given last year until early 2016 at the earliest. Brussels says the two governments must implement measures to help ensure proper border controls and travel procedures. The summit is therefore expected to be low in ambition and light on deliverables. Further, talks between the EU leaders and non-EU leaders could be easily overshadowed by the fresh wrangling inside the EU over the Greek bailout. Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras will meet the German and French leaders in Riga, although a formal Eurozone summit is being ruled out. UK Prime Minister David Cameron is also likely to use his first meeting with colleagues since the British election to start sounding out ideas on changes he hopes can win powers back from the EU. Britain is concerned that the EU risks pricing itself out of the global economy by excessive regulation.
The continent is sleepwalking towards a future where it has priced itself out of the global economy with its rules and its regulations, financial services legislation and red tape.
Launched in 2009, the EU's Eastern Partnership Initiative seeks to forge deep economic, political and people-to-people ties between the bloc and its 6 neighbours. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, a breakthrough deal has been signed by Malaysia and Indonesia to resolve the migrant crisis following a high-level meeting in Kuala Lumpur. The two countries agreed to take in the asylum seekers. Even as the announcement was made, hundreds of stranded migrants from Bangladesh and Myanmar were rescued by fishermen from Indonesian waters. Here's a report.
A breakthrough deal in the Asian migrant crisis. Indonesia and Malaysia signed a resettlement and repatriation agreement even as Thailand opted for a not in my backyard policy. They have just one condition, that the international community resettle them within a year.
Indonesia and Malaysia agreed to continue to provide humanitarian assistance to those 7,000 irregular migrants still at sea. We also agreed to offer them temporary shelter, provided that the settlement and repatriation process will be done in 1 year by the international community.
Hours after the agreement, the missing migrant boat was found by the fishermen, the same boat that was found drifting off the Thailand coast last week. It is just one of the several boats carrying thousands of Bangladeshi and Rohingya migrants adrift in the Andaman Sea.
Sampai sekitar jam 7:30 gitu, Pak.
Siapa yang selamatkan, Bang?
Yang menyelamatkan nelayan tempat, Bang. Ngantar kemari, terus kita proses, selanjutnya kita hitung jumlah semua 324 orang.
As migrants were brought ashore, they said that they were towed out to the sea 3 times by Thai and Malaysian navies. They also described how Malaysian authorities escorted them virtually the whole way to Indonesia, warning them never to return. Following a crackdown on human trafficking, smugglers abandoned several ships full of migrants, many of them hungry and sick, resulting in an international humanitarian crisis. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now bring you up to date with the other international news and updates in our segment World Wrap. United Nations Chief Ban Ki-moon announced talks between warring Yemeni parties in Geneva on the 28th of May to end over 7 weeks of war. This comes after Iran agreed for international inspections of an aid ship sailing to Yemen. The move aims at diffusing the deepening crisis in Yemen, where Saudi-led forces killed at least 15 Houthis in the latest airstrikes in a campaign to restore President Abdurabu Mansour Hadi. 4 major banks, including Citigroup, JP Morgan, Barclays and Royal Bank of Scotland, were pleaded guilty in Washington for trying to manipulate foreign exchange rates. 6 banks were also fined nearly $6 billion in a statement that substantially ends a global probe into misconduct in the $5 trillion a day market. US and European authorities have fined 7 banks over $10 billion for failing to stop their forex traders from sharing confidential information about client orders and coordinating trades to boost their own profits. Greece's public sector doctors and nurses rallied in Athens. They called on the government to keep its pre-election pledge to increase healthcare spending. Hundreds of pensioners also joined the rally, fearing Alexis Tsipras' leftist government would impose further austerity measures as a concession to Greece's international lenders. Greece spends 11 billion euros a year on its public healthcare system that accounts for about 5% of its total economic output. Meanwhile, Greece's finance minister said Athens hopes to reach a deal with its European Union and International Monetary Fund lenders by early June. Here's all the sports action in our sports beat. Defending champion Saina Nehwal has been seeded second in the women's singles competition of the Australian Open Super Series badminton tournament that will begin from the 26th of May in Sydney. The world number 2 Indian will take on a qualifier in her campaign opener. World number 11 PV Sindhu is unseeded and will face former world champion Chinese Yihan Wang. The Sports Ministry has asked the Sports Authority of India to set up a 24-hour helpline among implementing other corrective measures for well-being of the trainees in the wake of suicide attempt by 4 girl athletes at Sai's Alapura Centre. The ministry also recommended that all eligible Sai trainees should be covered under the newly introduced Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton has sealed his commitment to the Mercedes team after finally signing a 3-year contract worth an estimated $180 million. The long-awaited confirmation was announced on Twitter on Wednesday ahead of this weekend's Monaco Grand Prix. Since leaving McLaren in 2013, Hamilton has competed in 43 races, winning 15 and securing a further 11 podium finishes to replace Vettel as the sport's #1 driver. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a nice day.